Power to the truth. This is Margo. This is Thursday, February 21st, 2019, and it's 4:08 p.m. Pacific Time, United States of America. I'm going to make this show a little shorter today. I'm not going to do any news items or articles today. We do have 2 new days worth of data of methane from CAMS to show. We're going to go over that. Then we had a few comments we'll go over so we can keep up with those, and then I have a lot of stuff to show you on earthquakes today. So we're looking at Copernicus Atmosphere Monitoring Services website, and yesterday we showed the data from Monday, and now they have 2 more days of data. They have Tuesday the 19th and Wednesday the 20th. So I've chosen Tuesday the 19th as the base time, and I've chosen the Arctic view so we can get as close up as possible on the Arctic where the sea ice is, and I've chosen surface level. So there's our scale down at the bottom. I already have this movie loaded up, and here it's going. It's a little jumpy the first time through. We can see when it goes into the forecast period, it's still releasing from all the way across the Arctic. Okay, here's where it left off from Monday. This release was just starting to come out into this Kara Sea just to the northeast of Novaya Zemlya. And remember this big buildup here in Siberia, it's releasing and then moving across. And then this was kind of dissipating here in across the Arctic. So that's where we were. So here it is at the end of Tuesday. So we can see it's releasing here in this Laptev Sea, and it's actually in the reddish color, and then reddish orange over here, and then a new release beginning over here in the Chukchi Sea and releasing here in the Kara Sea. And there's a release, it looks like, on Svalbard. Hadn't seen that before. So there is a release right on Svalbard right there. So let's run that again. We'll let that run through, and then we'll show it as Wednesday, the base time, and it'll go into a longer forecast period. And you can see it just streaming across to Greenland and down into Canada again. And this is like the second or third time it's doing that. Well, I was talking and I missed that release off of Svalbard, so we'll run it through again. Look at this release coming all the way across. Okay, let's watch here. There. Okay, that was at the end of Tuesday and into Wednesday. So something happened there at Svalbard for that release. Normally we don't see it releasing there. See? Right there. So now we'll hop on over to Wednesday as the base time. So this is where Tuesday ended, and there's that release from Svalbard right in the center. So I've got this movie loaded up, so we can see it's even redder on the actual day of the data, and then a new release over here in the Kara Sea and then a bigger release coming up from Siberia. It just goes in waves. It'll release, and then it dissipates, and then it builds again and releases, and it's really crazy to see it happening like this. Okay, now watch it come across. Here it hits the top of Greenland and moves on over to Svalbard. There it is releasing. So it released through part of Wednesday, Tuesday and Wednesday. Here's a big release forecast for Friday to the east of Novaya Zemlya. And then this Chukchi Sea is releasing. Look, it's releasing in the red. And look at this big release out of the Laptev Sea. See, it's in the red zone. And then in the forecast period, it keeps releasing. It's wave after wave that just comes across, and here comes another wave. See? Watch it here, how red it is here. So there's that. And then I've got the global view pulled up. We'll close those out. And I've got Tuesday chosen as the base time. And so you can look where you live and see what methane looks like. We're seeing it increasing exponentially out the United States. There's in waves again. It does go away at night somewhat, and then it comes back when the sun comes up. So that's why you see it going away and then popping up. Big release here in Europe. So there's that. So we'll put this as the backdrop now. Energetically, I felt a big shift in energy in the last couple of days, and feeling heavy and just kind of on edge. And I've talked to other people, and they feel exactly the same way, and like something big is just about to happen. And I barely slept last night, and so there is a shift in the energy. Disturbance in the field, as they would say in Star Wars. So DDSB, these are all comments under my video from yesterday, says, the empire never ended. Philip K. Dick, from his novel Valis. I turned 55 in June. We're the same age. I must say I preferred the 20th century to this dystopian mess. I know. It was a lot easier. I mean, I grew up in the 50s and 60s, and I'll be 65, not 55. So I've got 10 years on you, DDSB. But welcome to the club here. And I agree. I mean, it was just easier when we were more innocent, but all of these plans were in the works, and the dark side already had everything mapped out. The dark mind was controlling everything. It's just that we were more innocent then. You know, I don't know if I'd rather be innocent or, you know, going down the rabbit hole. I mean, I think I'd rather be going down the rabbit hole when we got the world in this state so that I can discern. So anyway, it was a different time. That was then, this is now. Sensible Hare says, yet each man kills the thing he loves. By each let this be heard. So, yeah, it's the way of the world. It's the way of the world. Thank you, Sensible Hare. Robert Forsyth says, good morning, Margo. Good morning, Robert. History repeats itself according to Father's will. Our species, or the will of the wealthiest, have put us in the time of trumpets. This age of Aquarius has opened my many eyes, and those who have seen the light know what is to come. Please continue to seek. Got faith? Yeah, everyone needs to seek, and if you don't have faith, your faith is going to be tried, for sure. For what's coming, the Bible says men's hearts will be failing them for fear of what they see coming. That's what the Bible says. So you've got to get really prayed up. You've got to get your tractor beam on Jesus and God and the angels, and you're gonna have to have so much faith, and it'll be like walking where there are no steps, and then the step forms under your foot after you step out. That's the kind of faith you're gonna have to withstand what's coming. So thank you, Robert, for that comment and for being here. And then DDDSB leaves a couple of comments. She says, P.S. Yesterday, I think it's a female, on Wednesdays, February 20th at around noontime, 2 wood piles toppled in my backyard and there was no wind. I didn't feel any shaking, but suspect Del Norte County, or Crescent City, in Northern California had a shaker that caused my aggravation yesterday. What do you see there? Thanks, Margo. Love your daily posts. And then she posted again, not to nuisance post, went back and was clear that you were reporting yesterday's data. I see nothing for my area, perhaps other phenomena at play. You were so great, thanks. Do you ever watch the Suspicious Observer's daily posts on YouTube? Very scientific but fascinating in relation to the changes we are witnessing in the natural world around us. This source says we are in for clusters of 7.0s in the coming weeks due to activity on the sun. I dread the risks to the West Coast, so long overdue. Yikes. And then I responded and I said I didn't see anything either. However, there are tremors that happen before they reach the magnitude of earthquakes, and maybe something like that was in your area. Or maybe it was a sign from God. Time to get your spiritual house in order, everybody. It's a sign from God. That's what I go with. And no, I don't watch Suspicious Observers. I'm doing good to just do my own thing over here. And I follow the prompting from God and Jesus as to what to look at. And I don't doubt that 7s are coming. And it's for a lot of different reasons. But we will be seeing an increase in magnitude and numbers of quakes because of the times that we are in. And so thank you for being here, DDDSB, and thank you for your comments, and thank you for your very nice comments regarding my work. I appreciate you. And then Nostradamus, aka our friend Dave from the UK, had to rant. He goes, "Hi. Permission to rant, please." "Permission granted, Dave." I've been prompted to write this by Jokin's comment the other day and your response to it, Margo. If you remember, it was about over-consumerism. We have been brainwashed into having to buy things that we do not need or even stuff we don't want, just to keep up with the Joneses. Everyone feels the necessity to purchase the latest gadgets or car model, needlessly replacing products that are still in good working order. This throwaway society began in the 70s and has swallowed up and destroyed all the old-fashioned values. People used to make do with what they had. If my mom or dad got a hole in their clothing, they would repair it with a needle and thread, not instantly chuck it in the bin and buy new attire. It's not their fault, but it wouldn't even occur to most young people today to do a little sewing. All the old ways of living in harmony with nature have been forgotten as we take and take and take more and more from the earth's larder, without restocking and replenishment, continuing until the last crumb has been consumed. As a species, we have the same level of foresight as old Mother Hubbard, and we all know what happened to her poor little doggie. I talked about all the stuff we throw away, but it is the throwing away of the future that fills my soul with such grief and sorrow. Much love to everyone and yourself, Margo. Love is the only thing left that matters. Love will survive. Thank you, Dave. I appreciate that. And yeah, a lot of the prepping and survival is just the old ways, being able to do things for yourself. And we can't go to a store and hardly buy anything that's not made in China. You almost have to make it yourself if you don't want it made in China. And I used to pride myself on being very self-sufficient and kind of living like Little House on the Prairie and making all this stuff from scratch and things. And I still make my own soap. I do that. I do it at least once a year, and I make a big enough batch to, I just use it until I need more. And it's the only thing that my skin doesn't react to, and it's just plain olive oil soap with nothing in it. No scents, no additives, nothing, because I react to everything. And so I've been making my own soap since 2005, and that's the one thing that I'm just going to keep doing until I can't do it anymore. And I think that the more we can be self-sufficient, the better off we are. And it makes us feel good about ourselves, and it makes us, it helps our brains work better, and it helps us get into touch with our own inner wisdom, and, being able to live in a simpler way. And the more we can do that, the better off we're going to be. And as things collapse and start going away, we're going to have to go back to the old ways. And I think that's what Robert Forsyth was, and some of the others were talking about, especially about prepping and stuff. I call it going back to the old ways and becoming more self-sufficient. And I do know how to sew, and my mother taught me how to sew, and I learned how to knit, and we would make do, and we recycled everything. It wasn't called recycling then. It was called you use it till it wears out and you fix it. If it breaks, you fix it. You don't throw it out. And my mother and her family grew up in the Depression, and that makes a difference too. When people don't have much, they make do with what they have. And so, you know, our society now is totally different, and I don't even recognize the world and the mindset of the people that are out there. I can't relate to 99.9% of them. I can relate to you guys and a few other people, but that's about it. So thanks for that rant / comment, Dave, and thanks for being here. And I agree with you. And now, let's head into our earthquakes. I've got USGS pulled up here, all magnitudes for the last 24 hours. And worldwide, and it's showing 218 quakes around the world. And then if we look at 2.5 magnitude and higher, it's 31 quakes. So we can see they're right around this ring of fire. And then some in the United States and over in the Dominican Republic and Hawaii. So let's see what's going to come off the map first. We're going to start down here in South America with this 4.5. I think I reported this yesterday. There might be a little bit of overlap. So, not much though. 4.5 near San Antonio de los Cobras, Argentina. Yesterday at 4:42 p.m., 193 kilometers deep. 4.5 at Iquique, Chile. At 11:37 last night, 12 kilometers deep. 5.2 near Oropampa, Peru. At 2:17 this afternoon, 59 kilometers deep. See where that is. It looks like it's in the mountains. That would have been big enough to do damage if it was in a populated area. And remember, the deep earthquakes make the tectonic movement. So when you see them going deeper, like over 100 kilometers, that's going to trigger movement around the plates. 4.2 in the ocean off the coast of El Salvador near Acajutla. At 12:52 this morning, 65 kilometers deep. Then down here, near Fiji, was a 5.6 near Nadoy Island, Fiji. This one came in last night at 10:34 p.m., 616 kilometers deep. So that's quite deep, and it was quite large. So I think it triggered all of this movement up in Alaska that we're going to be looking at in a minute. Next was this 5.1 near Kira Kira, Solomon Islands at 2:50 this morning, 40 kilometers deep, right on the red line. Moving on up. Another one near Natsei, Japan, of 4.9 at 6:11 p.m. last night, 35 kilometers deep. Here's one on Hokkaido Island. This is part of Japan. 5.5 near Chitose or Chitose, Japan, at 4:22 this morning, 41 kilometers deep. That probably didn't do any damage because they build things to withstand large earthquakes over there, but it could have done damage. Next, up here off the coast of Kamchatka, Russia, here's a 4.4 that came in last night at 9:42 p.m., 35 kilometers deep. And then one right up here in this little curve of 4.8 near Nikolskoye, Russia, at 8:07 this morning. Let's go to Hawaii next. Remember, we're at 2.5 magnitudes and higher. We have two here that of that higher magnitude. There's a 2.7 and there's 3.2. This 3.2 came in at 1:32 this afternoon. So let's go over to all magnitudes for Hawaii now. All magnitudes, and see what we've got. We've got 10 here today. We've got one down here near Pahala, a 1.8. Then here's this one, a 3.2 down by further to the southeast of Kilauea. Here's a 1.9. Let's look at the depth. That's 7.1 depth. Okay, now look at all of these in Kilauea, and here's one beside it, a 1.8. So let's just go around and look at these. This is the crater of Kilauea, 1.0 at 0 kilometers depth, 2.7, 2.3, 2.4, 1.7, and this is at a minus 0.1 kilometers depth, so it was up in the crater. The earthquake was up inside, showing movement of the magma, and 1.7. So these, let's see when these came in. They were kind of spaced out from last night. So there's 6 right there, right around Kilauea. So that 3.2, it's getting on up there in the magnitudes. So I think things are building over there. Then over here in the Dominican Republic, we only have 5 reported today. I'll call them off. 2.1, 3.2, that's the highest, and this one is 100 kilometers deep. 1.9, 1.6, and 1.9. So that one is the biggest one, 3.2. Now, let's, oh, that one's brand new. We just had a 4.1 in the Gulf of Alaska. I'm telling you, I know things have shifted. I felt a shift in the energy. I know I felt it, and I feel it's hard to describe. It's very tense. I feel very tense and on edge and just ready. Just like I'm just waiting for something to happen. So let's start down here in the Aleutian Islands. Let's start in the 2.5 magnitude and higher ones, because we're seeing an uptick in these here. Here's a 4.1 near Atka. This one happened at 9:13 this morning. 4.2 near Nikolsky at 12:52, right after midnight. These are in the Aleutian Islands, right near that red line. This one just came in, a 4.1 in the Gulf of Alaska at 4:28 p.m. These are all Pacific times. Very shallow, 1.3 kilometers depth. Here's a 2.7 near Larsen Bay. 2.8 near King Salmon, and this one was 250 kilometers deep right there. And you're going to see several more that all came in at literally the same minute, and some of them the same second, and they were 250 kilometers deep all this morning. It was flipping me out. So something is up. Here's a 2.6 near Anchor Point, Alaska, 250 kilometers deep. This one came in last night at 10:45 p.m., 28 seconds. This one was at 10:45 p.m. last night and 18 seconds. So those two were 10 seconds apart. That one, that was 3.4 kilometers deep. Then we got a 2.8 again. This was near Redoubt Volcano. This is again 10:45 p.m. last night and 27 seconds. This one was 85 kilometers deep. Next was another 2.9, also near Redoubt Volcano. This one is at 4:30 this morning. Another deep one, 221 kilometers deep. So something's happening with, I don't know if it was triggered by that big one in Fiji and causing it to move up here, but they're all coming in at the same thing. Here's a 3.2 near Valdez, Alaska. This one came in at 2:29 this morning. This one was only 20 kilometers deep. 2.5 near Cordova, Alaska. This one came in again at 10:45 p.m. last night, 40 seconds, 250 kilometers deep. 2.5 near Chitina, Alaska at 10:45 again and 51 seconds, 21 kilometers deep. 2.6 near Tok, Alaska at 4:30 this morning, 0 kilometers deep. 3.1 near Cantwell, Alaska at 4:30 this morning, 57 kilometers deep. So we've got several right at 4:30. So you see a pattern here. Here's a 2.9 near Tanana, Alaska at 4:30 this morning, 17 kilometers deep. Here's a 3.5 near Kobuk, Alaska at 10:57 last night, 11 kilometers deep. And those are all of them that are 2.5 magnitude and higher. So let's see when this one happened. This one happened last night at 10:34 p.m. This big one that was 616 kilometers deep. This 5.6 happened at 10:34. So these happened. Let's look at. So then these started at 10:45. This one that was 200, the first one that was 250 kilometers deep, came in at 10:45 and 18 seconds. The next one was at 10:45 and 27 seconds. That was 85 kilometers deep. Then 10:45 and 28 seconds. So 1 second later, this 2.6 came in, 250 kilometers deep. Then 2.5 at 10:45 and 40 seconds. So 12 seconds later, 250 kilometers deep. And it's crazy. And then this one was at 10:45. It was the 2.5, 10:45 and 51 seconds. So 11 seconds later, and it was 21 kilometers deep. Then the next deep one, this 2.9 was at 4:30 in the morning, 221 kilometers deep. Then we just had this 4.1 southeast of Kodiak. Let's go to all magnitudes now up here. See what else we can glean. I like to look for patterns if I can find them. We've got 63 here of all magnitudes in the last 24 hours. So this one that was yesterday, it was a 2.3 near Anchor Point at 5:16 p.m. This one was 102 kilometers deep. So these others are, you know, in the 30, like 38 and under. Here's one at 78 kilometers deep, 74. These are at Anchor Point. See this cluster in this line here. And then we start seeing them at Anchorage. This one was 54 kilometers deep. Okay, so here's the first 250 kilometer depth. Oh, this is interesting. So the one down in Fiji was at 10:34 and 39 seconds. So the first one after that was this 2.8 near King Salmon at 250 kilometers depth. Now here's one that happened right near 1 kilometer south-southwest of Eielson Air Force Base, right up here. That came in at 1021, 15 kilometers deep. So I'm looking to see. Okay, here's another 250 kilometer depth, 2.4, so it was not on the other map. Again at 10:45 and 40 seconds. So we had two right at the same time, this one and this one at Cordova. So Cordova and Yucatan, those were all at the, they were at the exact same second, and they were both 250 kilometers deep. And the same minute, but just a few seconds before that, was this one at Anchor Point. So you see what's happening? It's like a triangle. Here's King Salmon. So it's a line, and it went here, and then it went up here. And Yucatan, Cordova, and then Cantwell. It went up there. It hopped up there. Just a few seconds later. That was a 2.3. And then the next large one was this 2.9 at Redoubt Volcano, 221 kilometers deep. So we had, how many? I want to count the really deep ones, the 200 and higher ones. I think it was like 5 or 6. Just bear with me as I go through here. I've got to do this. Okay, here's the first one. 1. But this one is at 4:30 this morning, so it wasn't part of that group. But it was a deep one. So we're going to count it as a deep one. 1. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we had 6 earthquakes that were over 200 kilometers deep since 10:45 last night, and one that was 102 kilometers deep. We're not used to seeing that, seriously. So we're just going to keep an eye on that. Here's a new one. This just came in. Off the coast of southern Mexico, a 4.1 near San Francisco del Mar, Mexico, at 4:31 this afternoon, 46 kilometers deep. Okay, now let's hit the lower 48, and then we'll wrap it up. We're going to start. I thought I saw one over here. Guess it's fallen off the map. There was one in the New Madrid zone. I guess it's off the map now. Going to start in Oklahoma. A little southwest of Oklahoma City. Was a 2.8 near Chickasha at 6:52 this morning. Then up here in Kansas, a 3.2 near Harper, Kansas at 3:20 this afternoon. So that's higher in magnitude. Then coming on over to this, there's one right across the border in Arizona, a 2.1 that happened at 6:54 this morning at a minus 0.6 kilometers depth. So that means the epicenter of the earthquake is up in the mountain or the hill, and the magma is moving to cause that. It's showing movement. Utah, here's a 1.6 near Farron. Remember we saw that swarm? We're only seeing one here today. It happened at 6 o'clock this morning at a minus 1.8 kilometers depth. So we got magma moving there. Then we've got a 1.9 near East Carbon City, Utah at 8:26 this morning at a minus 3.2 kilometers depth. Again, magma moving up into the chamber, probably an old volcano. 1.3 near Mount Pleasant, Utah at 8:20 this morning. And then we've got a new cluster here at Bluffdale, it's just south of Salt Lake City. Remember we had a swarm down here a few days ago? Well, we're up to 13 here today. The largest one was a 2.5 that happened at 7:08 last night. Let's see if any of these are negative depth. Nope, they're in the ground. But that 2.5 was the highest. The next highest was a 2.2 that was at 6:37 last night. And then ones and under. So there's that. Then moving on up into the Yellowstone region, we've got one reported, a 2.1 near Soda Springs, Idaho at 2 o'clock this morning. That's it up there. Now we're going to move on up to the Northwest region, Seattle region. We're showing two here. 1.5 near Gold Bar, Washington at 7:33 last night. And a 1.9 near Normandy Park at 6:20 this morning. Then here's a little one down here. Where's that? Oh, this is right near Mount St. Helens. A 0.6 near Morton, Washington. This one happened at 4:50 this morning, 5.7 kilometers deep. We've shown Mount St. Helens on Google Earth. This is the crater here. And so the earthquake happened to the north of the mountain, kind of in the foothills there. It was small, 0.6. So they are prone to have earthquakes in that area. So as long as they stay small, we're not going to worry too much. Nothing being reported in Oregon today. Notice I say being reported. Then we had this one come in the ocean just off the coast of Petrolia, California, at 2.7. this afternoon at 3:36 p.m. This is right on this San Andreas fault line, right here. And this is the Juan de Fuca plate here. This is an area we're watching very closely. And by the way, all these earthquakes that we're seeing happen up in Alaska can trigger movement of these plates on down, and can trigger stuff going off here, and the Juan de Fuca going down, the Cascadia collapsing. And if that happens, then all hell will break loose in the U.S. with Yellowstone and maybe Long Valley. I don't know. And who knows how far across it'll go. So I don't know. I'm just saying that could happen. Here at the geysers, we've got 28 here today. And they're small. They're under 1 mostly. Here's a 1.2. And 1.1, 1.2. Here's the largest one is the 2.4. So there's the geysers, so that's active today. Let's come on down. Well, let's change it up a little bit. We'll come on down Southern California, come on down the coast, and then we'll come up and cover Nevada and the east side of California at the same time. I don't like to do it the same every day. Uh-oh. Look, we've got a little cluster here at Black Hawk, 10 kilometers east-northeast of Black Hawk. Here's a 2.2, 1.9, and 2.0, all near Black Hawk. That's a place we don't see them very often. I haven't seen one there before, but I haven't been doing earthquakes that long. Here's a 1.3 near Lexington Hills at 2:25 this morning. Coming on down the San Andreas fault line, 1.2 near Pinnacles, 0.9 near Parkfield, there's a 2.2 near Maricopa at 9:18 this morning. Here's a small one, 1.5 near Grapevine, okay, Mexico looks clear. Let's see if we can get all these Southern California ones on the map. Let's open this up. We've got 34 here on the map today. So that's not as many as we've seen sometimes. Here's a 2.1 near El Centro, 1.2 near Imperial. Let's see what this is. Here's a cluster. 8 near Westmoreland. And these are, here's a 2.3, 1.3, 1.4, 1.7, 2.0, 1.4, 2.3, and 1.8. Now these are right on this San Andreas fault line, where it picks up down here. This is the Imperial fault line. So that's on that fault line there. So that's significant. And what's this? Lake Henshaw has 4 in the lake. 0.3, 2.1, 0.8, and 1.0. Here's Kauai. Not many up here today. We've got 8 on the map here. They're small. So Kauai is kind of quiet. .0 near Cali Mesa. 1.0 near Redlands. 1.2 near Glen Avon. Okay, let's come on up to this side. There's a little one. 0.6 near Little Lake. And we got a cluster here, by the way. How many? We've got 6 here. They're small, 0.5, 0.9, 0.9, 0.4, 0.8, 0.6. But it's showing movement. Then we've got 2 here. 1.4 near Lone Pine at 0 kilometers depth. 1.5 near Stovepipe Wells at -1 kilometers depth. So it's up in the mountain. And down here near Mammoth Lakes and Long Valley, we've got 5 listed. 0.9, 0.5, 1.0 at Yosemite, 0.5, and 0.3 at Mammoth Lakes. Now, what's going on up here at Mono Lakes? We've got 3. We've got a 1.6, a 0.8, and a 1.1. Let's finish up this Northern California, then we'll come back down to Lake Tahoe. Okay, here's a 2.2 that came in near Little Grass Valley at 7:13 this morning, not too far from Quincy. And remember Marcia gave us a comment about Quincy being so earthquake prone. This is a very earthquake prone area, so it's not very far from that. And here's Chico, and here's Oroville. So it's in this area. It's a little bit to the east of Oroville in that area. Then there was one to the north of there, a 1.2 near Greenville. Mountain Meadows Reservoir. Canyon Dam. So, right there, here's Greenville. 0 kilometers depth. This one happened at 3:47 this morning. We don't normally see them there. I think that's it for Northern California. Now let's come on down to this Lake Tahoe area. We're seeing a cluster. We saw a few here in the last 2 days too, north of Tahoe Vista. 1.5, 1.4, 1.3, 1.3, and 0.9. So we've got 5. and they started at 1:02 this afternoon. Oh, this is interesting. All within a few 10 minutes of each other. This one was at 1:02. Here's one at 1:03, then 1:05, 1:10, and 1:13. Nothing since then. So 5 within about 10 minutes. All right there. There's Lake Tahoe. Here's one at Carson City, 0.7 on Prison Hill, it looks like. At 11:08 last night. Then here was a 1.1 near Fernley, Nevada at 1:14 this morning. Okay, northern Nevada is clear. Moving on down. 0.4 near Gardnerville. 1.0 near Urington. That one might be from yesterday. Yeah, I mean, I might have reported that yesterday. It was at 5:50 yesterday afternoon. Because we normally don't see them there. .6 near Hawthorne. 0.4 near Hawthorne. It's pretty quiet. Oh, here's some little ones. See these little ones peppered around? This is all part of that Nevada test site area. Let's get California off the map. So we've got one from Utah on the map. So we got 6 from Nevada here, and they're all small. They're microquakes. So I think that's a wrap, unless something else came in while we were looking at everything. We saw that, and we saw this one at Mexico. We got Petrolia, we got Harper, Kansas, we got Peru. I think that's a wrap. So, I would like to encourage people to think about what it means to get your spiritual houses in order and how you're going to do that while you still have time. And I think time is beginning to run out, and it's running out really fast. So, I love all of you very much and wish you all to go in peace. God bless you, and I'll talk to you real soon. Goodbye.